What's up, guys? Max here. Let me tell you why in 2021 I will be raising everyone's rent. Not because I don't like them, but because there's this four-letter word being thrown around right now. Left, right, north, south, everywhere. Everyone's throwing around this four-letter word that starts with an I, and it's really sucks. So let's go over why I'm raising rents. Let's dive in. It's the word inflation. Yes, it's not a four-letter word, so I kind of fooled you there. But anyway, let's go over some articles that are showing why inflation may or may not be going extremely high for the rest of the year. So this is a little article here from CNBC. Hot inflation may have become scorching in May and expected to hit a new 28-year high. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So in May, the government told us that inflation is about 4%. About 5%. And it's been the fastest pace since '08. But here's the thing. Inflation hurts and really doesn't do any good for anyone. The Fed has said it would begin the first phase of easing when it believes the economy and labor market is strong enough. Now, that's assuming that the labor market and economy is going to be strong in due time. Now, in due time, yes, but in the short term, I'm very, very bearish. I don't see the labor market coming anytime soon. There's been multiple months in a row where the job creation it's dismal compared to what they wanted. They wanted these lofty figures, actually more realistic figures, but they still didn't happen. That would then lead to a long period of the Fed slowly reducing its bond purchases, which is pretty much printing money. It's called quantitative easing. Do some research on it. It's simple, but it's complicated. It's money printing. Before it actually moves to raise interest rates. Most market pros do not expect the Fed to hike interest rates before 2023, which pretty much means for the next 2 years, we're going to have 0% interest rates, which pretty much means you can borrow money for almost nothing as an institution. Wells Fargo, all the big five banks can borrow money at literally 0% from the government. Here, the 559,000 jobs added in May was lower than expected, but the pace of hiring is expected to pick up as September approaches when federal unemployment benefits run out and schools reopen, allowing parents to return to work. I think in some of these instances, especially the blue states, they say they're going to open up, but what does that actually mean? They say they're going to open up fully, but again, I'm very, very cynical when it comes to that. And why do they suppose hiring is going to pick up in September? Oh, the federal unemployment benefits run out. Yeah, well, we've tried to do this with welfare. You have welfare for a year, a 2, a 3. We've actually never tried that. Maybe that's a good idea. Actually cut someone off eventually to make them work themselves. I think there's going to be such a huge uproar. I just saw recently that the CDC enacted moratorium is in effect till the end of June, and they may even extend it. So that means property taxes and mortgage payments are still due from the landlords, but what about the tenants? They're off scotch-free. Again, this is a very odd times we're living through, that's for sure. And I don't see these federal benefits running out. They say they're going to run out, but I think Biden is again going to put some legislation that he's going to give you free money to sit at home and watch TV all day. I am very, very cynical when it comes to this. I really don't think the benefits are going to run. I think they're going to pass some new stimulus, some new 2021, COVID-25 stimulus that's just going to keep on keeping people on the government dole. I'm really cynical when it comes to that. I think inflation is the thing what people want to be afraid of. I think it's a misplaced fear. I think the worst thing we could have is deflation. Yeah, agreed. Deflation is not good for anybody, but inflation isn't good for the individual either. Your money is losing its value every single day. That's why the US dollar sucks to have. Saving money is a terrible, terrible idea. But it just shows you that, it's a misplaced fear because it might be the complete opposite. This is what you're going to read on CNBC and all these money websites because their advertisers have a vested interest in having the stock market higher and higher and higher and higher because that's how their advertisers make money. Their advertisers pay the websites or the news outlets to, in a sense, cover for them. So I'm really cynical of any of these large financial websites. I think the Fed will keep its nerve. They've made it clear that there's been a consistency of commentary. I think Jay Powell's done a good job discussing transitory. And we'll get to this in a little bit, but they're saying it's going to be transitory inflation. B of A actually said it's going to be transitory hyperinflation, which is a hell of a lot worse than just inflation. Okay, let's go to the next article. Next article. So, do they have the graph here? Yes, here it is. This is CPI, which is pretty much inflation. Look at that. Look at that trend right there. Do you think the trend's going to keep on going down or go up? I think a third grader could figure that out. So here's what it is. It's almost 4% according to the government. Now let's go to this is how we measure things in 2021. So this is how inflation is measured in 2021, the 21st century. They added some things to make it more updated. I don't know what that actually means, but someone else does. Now let's use the figures we used in the 90s to compute it. Now if we use the 90s figures, the red line is the official CPI, which is a little over 4%. If we take our 90s formulas, it's actually almost 9%. So you can see there's a huge difference there between 4 and 8%. It's literally double. The government has a vested interest in keeping inflation appear low, because if it appears low, that means there's less unrest and people are more likely to keep going on their blue pill life and not ever taking the red pill. Now, let's also go to this is from the 1990s, how we calculated it. Let's go to the 80s. And they say it's been updated to take into the effect of 21st century, but it's just a good calculation to see how different they are compared to what the government's actually putting out. All right, so here's CPI, a little over 4%, almost 5% right now. How we measured in the 1980s, it's actually closer to about 14%. So that means inflation, if we use the old calculations, is actually about 15%, almost 15%. So that means your $100 in the bank is losing 15% of its value every single year. You may still have the $100 in the bank, but the purchasing power, which is everything that matters, that's what matters. Not the dollars in the bank, but the actual purchasing power it can do. This is what I'm talking about. B of A on a earnings call, this was in May, so a few weeks ago, said transitory hyperinflation ahead. B of A's Savita Subramanian, that's a cool name, writes, after the third week of earnings, mentions of inflation have quadrupled year over year, which pretty much means that this is the graph that shows all the earnings calls that are happening in the S&P 500, that the word inflation has been quadrupled in what they're talking about. So that just means they're having an earnings call and inflation is being mentioned. It's gone up a huge, 300%, which is pretty crazy. Let's go back to here. So that just shows that people are talking about it a lot more. People are talking about it a lot. If these earning calls are talking about it a lot more, is it on the horizon? Now, the Fed wants you to believe that there's only going to be transitory inflation, which means it's only going to be, 2, 5, 6%. It doesn't hurt that bad because it's a small percentage. Now, B of A, on the other hand, take it as well, says that transitory hyperinflation ahead. Inflation risk was most prevalent in materials, consumer sectors, and industrials. By category, mentions of pricing and transportation rose most, followed by materials. Label-rated mentions rose least. So, haven't you seen how high fuel is right now? I have friends who live in California. Bless their souls. Gas is almost $5 a gallon in Southern California. That's literally insane. And I love this article because if there is one thing hyperinflation is, it's transitory. Yeah, that is not true at all. That is throughout history, hyperinflation is almost never transitory. It's something that literally cripples and commits homicide on an economy. So keep your eye out on what's actually happening with the inflation. And having these alternate graphs is really helpful to see what's actually happening, how we used to measure it compared to how we measure it now. Okay, next article. Okay, so I want to talk about Greshams Law. Greshams Law pretty much means this, that good money, which is money that you've saved, money that I've saved, money that I have, profits I have from my business, that good money I use to invest my business again, to invest in something else, to create more and more investments. People complain about billionaires buying yachts. Yeah, but you don't realize how much of that money is actually going towards reinvestment into their infrastructure as a company, or just in their companies in general, investments in the future. The U.S. is best when people, billionaires, millionaires, all the people who are creating the jobs are reinvesting over and over and over again into their businesses. That creates more jobs create more tax revenue, which I don't really like, But it's a complete good circle that as investment, as the good money, someone's money that they've saved, invest in the businesses, and some of those businesses fail, and some of those businesses succeed. That's what we're talking about. Good money, that good money that it's real money, is driven up by bad money. Bad money is the 0% interest rates, these skeleton zombie companies, which pretty much means if they cannot borrow money at their near 0% interest rate, they cease to exist as a company. How is it even possible in a free market economy? Well, because the U.S. right now, and hasn't been for a long time, is not a free market economy. August 15th, 1971, Mr. Nixon, our late president, took us off the gold standard. Took us off gold convertibility. Well, because we don't have enough gold to actually convert into all these dollars, which pretty much means that our dollar is worth as good as a piece of paper. And I'd ask you, how much is a piece of paper worth to you? Good money drives out bad money. Good money is money that shows little difference between its nominal value and the face value of a coin. So let's use something really easy, like a coin, like a one kilogram worth of silver. Everyone knows this is 2.2 pounds approximately, and everyone knows what the value of silver is. It's spot. It is the market value. Silver is the same price in the US, Singapore, China, India, Japan, Latin America, everywhere. It's the same price everywhere. So this is called good money because it has intrinsic value. When you start creating fiat money, which is this fake money that means absolutely nothing, the things that these create, these things, credit cards, fake money. Bad money is the money that has a commodity value considerably lower than its face value and is in circulation along with good money, where both forms are required to be accepted at equal value as legal tender. Why do we stop using silver coins? Why do we stop using gold coins? Because the government started debasing currency. 64 was when they stopped doing it pretty much in the US, 68 in Canada. They did it for a few more years after 64 with the half dollars, but pretty much our coins now have zero precious metal in them. They're pot metal. Have you ever seen a penny and walked right past it? I used to pick up a penny every single time. Now I sometimes walk right past it because it's not worth me bending over. My back is more worthwhile. Long story short, the bad money, which is the free money that that institutions can buy for about 0% right now, drives out the good money, the actual investment money. And that's a bummer. I want to talk about Rome. Why did Rome fall? Now, you ask, why does Rome have to do with 2021? Actually, a lot. Rome, for a very, very long time, was the pinnacle of culture, art, society, commerce, new ideas, philosophy, all the things that make us into kind of what we are now. In 14 CE, the year of Emperor Augustus' death, which I believe he was the last. No, he wasn't the last. He was one of the good emperors of Rome. The supply of Roman gold and silver amounted to $1.7 billion. Now, that's a ton of money. By 800, this had dwindled to $165,000. So in an 800-year period, I mean, that's a long time, obviously. I don't know if the U.S. is going to last that long, to be completely honest with you, but that's a long time. But it went from a huge superpower, a ton of real money, dwindled to a little under $200,000. That's what happens when you debase money. That's what happens when the bad money comes in. Right now, our economy is flooded with bad money. I was reading an article recently that was saying institutions, large, huge hedge funds, are buying up single-family homes. And I think, well, that's kind of weird. Why are they buying up single-family homes? And usually paying 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes up to 50% higher than the asking price. And you think, what the hell? Why would anybody pay 20% higher than asking price on a home they're actually going to live in? Well, because the fact of the matter is they're not going to live in these homes. However, if I told you you could borrow 0%, you could borrow at 0%, how much money would you borrow? Me? I'd borrow a ton of money and start buying up all real assets. Now, I say real, I do the air quotes because they're actually real. Gold, silver, fine art, and land or real estate. Those are actually real things you can touch As of today, we still have personal property in the U.S. I don't know how long it's going to last with the Great Reset, but the fact of the matter is this. We still have personal property, and real estate is usually, over the long term, a very, very stable investment. There's obviously ups and downs, and right now we're at a very, seems as though it's only going one way and it's going like this, but how much longer can that last? I don't know. So the fact of the matter is, I'm going to raise my rents this year. Now, I haven't really figured out the number, but it's going to take place pretty soon. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 15%. And I would encourage anyone who's renting out rooms. Hyperinflation is upon us. Hyperinflation is 50% inflation per month. That's how they define it. Now, it may not happen right now because the market is totally flooded with a bunch of liquidity from the free money era, the free money stimulus, really, the COVID relief stimulus. The fact of the matter is you have to raise prices. The only way you can actually keep up with things is going to raise prices. If you need your sewer fixed in your home up to the front of the house, which is what mine was, I had to do it recently, that's going to cost you a few $100. It may cost you double or triple that soon. Now, I only see inflation going one way, and that's up. So that's why I'm raising my rents. And I encourage everyone else to do it as well. Because the fact of the matter is this. If hyperinflation hits, we're in a big heap. I hope it does not, but I'm very cynical because there's so much extra money and people are very lazy and don't want to go back to work. And it literally is mind-blowing that people would rather sit at home, watch Netflix, and rot. Because your mind will atrophy. If you do not use your mind, you don't use your body to work, it will atrophy. It's very good to work for males and females. We have meaning in our work. Work is a very, very good thing. Don't ever take that away from somebody. Well, that's why I'm raising rents. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. And I want to hear you guys comment. Are you raising rents? Have you seen the inflation? I mean, fuel almost $5 a gallon in California. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.